have you ever seen a whole human being eaten by a shark? No. Okay, they lose leg, hands, something like that, but it's by mistake. We are in their water, in their environment. We have to be ready for anything.
Nouf Al Oseimi is the Saudi founder of Red Sea Citizen, a scuba diving school mostly geared toward Arab women. She teaches scuba diving in Saudi Arabia and also Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt, one of the best diving destinations in the world. It's also an ideal destination for shark dives. Sharks have lived on this planet for 400 million years and maintained their position as top predators in the sea. There are over 440 species of sharks, and while most people fear sharks, Nouf loves to swim with them. I'm Nadia Michel, and this is TMR Thrill Seekers.
So I start reading about shark and start to know more about them. So I found out that they are not man-eaters. Because do you eat something that does not exist in your environment? No. For example, do you eat camel in America? No, because there are no camels. Do we eat kangaroo here? No, because there are no kangaroos. So you eat the thing that is exist in your environment. We are not part of their environment, so we're not part of their food chain. Media can affect a lot of people, and especially if we watch these things since we were a child. So it's built in. Like I used to fear sharks when I go to swimming pool where there is no shark. I just imagined there were sharks. So I used to fear shark. But when I started scuba diving and I went down and I saw the beauty of the sea, and I knew that sharks are responsible for the beauty that we are witnessing down there. And the first shark encounter was really peaceful. Majesty. So when the shark just passed by, he didn't even look at me. I was amazed how beautiful this creature is. So most of the sharks attack that happen, they are by mistake, and there are reasons for them. For example, there's like 15 shark attack per year, but we kill like 100 million shark per year. So you see the difference. And for example, the attacks that happen, they are mainly from the great white shark, where they see the surface, they look like a seal or a turtle, so they go to attack, and then they found out they're not their meals. There are a lot of species that are more dangerous than sharks in the ocean, but we have to know how to deal with it, and when to leave the water, and when to stay and to enjoy, and where to dive and when to dive. So if we are in a group, for example, we have to stick together, because when we stick together, we look bigger to the shark. Okay, so instead of going each person together, like we don't have to separate, we have to all stick together, and we don't have to interrupt the shark or chase the shark. And when we see the shark, we have to stay vertically, not horizontally, because there's nothing that the shark eats that looks vertically. So usually all the fish, they look horizontal. So this things that keeps the sharks away, or not keeps them away. I mean, it's tell them that you're not food to them. Okay. And try to respect the shark. Like, don't get very close. If there's reef, keep the reef in your back and keep watching the shark. If the shark behaviors change, he starts to swim fast and stuff like that, it's better for you to leave the water. Because some shark behaviors change due to overfishing and stuff like that. So it's the human being who change the shark behaviors, and then when they have attack, they blame the shark.
Each year, globally, there are on average 10 deaths attributable to shark attacks. By comparison, there are around 150 deaths caused by falling coconuts, and lightning kills around 24,000 people each year. Yet over half of Americans say they're absolutely terrified of sharks, and 38% of them say they're scared to swim in the ocean. But sharks are not only misunderstood, they're also essential to human life.
Okay, let's talk about why we have to protect them, why we have to love this creature, because they are responsible for the ecosystem. Like they eat the dead fish, they eat the sick fish. So they like cleaning the ocean, and that where there is shark, this is a healthy place. Where there are no shark, this is a non-healthy place. I mean, more than 50% of the oxygens are not just from the forest. They're even from the oceans. They come from the ocean. So if we do a lot of fishing and we kill a lot of sharks, especially sharks, they are on the top of the food chain and they make the ocean clean. So if we kill a lot of sharks, we will have a lot of algae, a lot of jellyfish, and the seas, it will be toxic. This is going to affect us because this is where we get our oxygen from.
At least half of the Earth's oxygen comes from the ocean. The surface layer of the ocean is teeming with photosynthetic plankton that produce more oxygen than the largest redwood trees. Like animals on land, marine animals use this oxygen to breathe, and it also gets consumed when dead plants and animals decay in the ocean. When plankton can't keep up with production, this creates low oxygen dead zones that don't support marine life and ultimately human life. As a diver, Nouf has noticed a few other problems happening in the sea, specifically in Sharm el-Sheikh, where she does most of her teaching.
When I used to dive here in 2013 in a place where I used to work, it was beautiful. And then when I came 2018, it was dead. So we are witnessing the changes very fast. Usually before, generation by generation, now, no, the same person, like few years later, the sea is destroyed. The coral reefs, overfishing, global warming, our behavior using plastics, because in 2050 they say they may be more plastic in the ocean than fishes. This is really like it's not funny. And more than 250 million tons of plastic are estimated to make its way into our oceans by 2025. And there's microplastic where we can't see it as well, and we eat it because we eat the fish, and the fish, they have like a lot of small microplastics in their bodies. So, and this is what causes a lot of cancers and diseases. And it's everything we threw in the ocean, it comes back to us. Also the constructions and the building, what they call development, which I don't think it's development when they destroy the environment by building stuff very close to the sea, and they get rid of everything that they do on the ocean. They think it's a trash. No. So that's the thing that is alarming. So some people, they think there's nothing underneath the water. They're not aware. We don't blame them because we try to talk about with people. We have to talk with everyone about it. And this is what we usually do as a scuba divers, because we are the first people who can witness the impact, like the negative impact on our oceans.
The Red Sea extends from Suez, Egypt to the Arabian Sea. It has over 2,000 kilometers of coral reef extending along its coastline. The reef is between 5,000 and 7,000 years old. The water is warm, with temperatures hovering between 20 degrees Celsius in the winter and around 30 in the summer. There are over 1,000 species of fish, including sharks and manta rays.
Let's rank the seas. Where is the most beautiful sea you have ever dived in? They always say the Red Sea is number one because of the colors, the visibility, and its easy access as well. You can dive from shore or from boat. So the Red Sea, it's actually formed 13 million years ago by the split from Arabia, from Africa, due to continental drift. And the Red Sea is located in the Middle East between the Saudi Arabia Peninsula and the East African coast. Okay, and it's connected to the Mediterranean Sea from the north and the Indian Ocean from the south. And there is the Suez Canal from the north, from between the Mediterranean and the Red Sea, which is where a lot of trade and a lot of commercial and Europe. So the European ships, they go through the canal instead of going all the way around Africa. So, and also it's located in the northern part, and it's considered like one of the warmest sea in the northern part, and the saltiest sea, and one of the most beautiful seas that has a lot of coral reefs and fishes that it just like there's like 300 species of coral reefs and 1,200 species of fishes, and just 10% are native. Only you can see them in the Red Sea. So it looks really like plain from the top. But once you go in and you put your mask and you go down and you just look down, you will see all the colors that you cannot imagine that it exists. It's just beneath the Red Sea. on the west part, Saudi Arabia has the longest coast, which is 1,760 kilometers, has the longest coast on the Red Sea, and Yemen just in the north, in the south. So let's talk about Saudi Arabia, for example. If we live in Saudi, so in the summer we love to go in the north because the water is refreshing, the weather is really hot. So in the winter it gets a bit cold, but if we wear like 5 milli wetsuit or thick wetsuit, it's okay. In the winter we go down to the south, which is always hot all year round. They're extremely hot in the summer. So that's why we dive in the north. And also we have Sudan on the eastern part, which is great in the winter because the weather always hot there. And Egypt as well, all the year around. It's beautiful, especially in the summer.
Nouf was born and raised in Taif, a city on the hills of the Sarawat Mountains in Saudi Arabia. The climate in Taif is dry and desert-like. The beach is over 200 kilometers away. Scuba diving hardly seems like it would be on the agenda of the archetypal Saudi citizen, especially from Taif, and especially a woman. In fact, it took some cold, rainy weather in London for Nouf to fall in love with her own sea.
I was really fed up with the UK weather, and I really want to go to a destination where the sunshine and where it's also warm. So I decided to come to Sharm. And I was on board. And then they asked me if I want to try scuba diving. Okay, I said, okay, why not? Because I love trying new things. And that moment where it changed my life for good. Before, my life was just normal life, like it's a girl who goes to the university with friends. Like there's nothing that I really live for. Now there's cause. There's the Red Sea. There's something that I love to do, something that I really want to teach. There's this disconnection because in our life is everything loud, fast, social media, a lot of toxic, a lot of things. But when you go underwater, you are absolutely disconnected from every single thing on this planet. And it's the only few places that phones are not exist. So nothing in there. So only you, yourself, and the nature. You cannot hear anyone. You cannot even how can I explain this? Like you just disconnect from even your mind. It's like you're putting your mind on the beach and you're going down. And then when you come up, you take your mind again. You forgot your problems, your stress. So it's like stress relief. For me, I think scuba diving is very good for the well-being and for the mental health. It changed my life, to be honest. It changed me. I had, when you live without passion, it's completely different when you live with passion or without passion. With passion, you have something that driving you, like something that makes you want to wake up every day, something that you want to learn more about, something you want to explore more about, something you want to do it every single day. And you want to make sure that everyone to try it and to do it. So it's something that makes you like an active human being. So when I finished my school, I studied my university. I went back to Saudi for a few months, and then I decided to come to Egypt and to learn the scuba diving from its place, where there is a lot of divers, tourists, dive centers, boats. So it's well established. So it's the best place to get experience and to learn scuba diving from Egypt. And then I moved back to Saudi and started teaching in Saudi. So since then, I live in Saudi and I teach in Saudi. But now I live between Saudi and Egypt because when I want to get experience or I learn courses for myself, I come to Egypt. And when I want to teach, I go to Saudi. And I also teach in Egypt, but mainly people who come from Saudi to Egypt. This is 2 years before I moved to Saudi from Egypt. I started Pink Bubbles. I started to promote scuba diving to females. And then when I went back to Saudi, it's become bigger. So this is the time when I started to attract more women and to empower women to get into scuba diving, especially that time when Saudi Arabia it's not the Saudi Arabia we know today. It was a bit like closed. So we didn't have a lot of things to do in there actually that time. Women, we can drive before I have to go with the driver and then he has to wait for me. It was a lot of pressure. Now I'm free to drive and dive. Before I used to dive, but not drive. Now I drive, I dive, I go, I explore. So it's usually even the women now they are more easy to access to scuba diving where we dive and to the shore, because before they have to have a driver or Uber. Now most of the girls they can drive themselves, so they are more likely to come and dive with you. So scuba diving was a great thing to connect with nature, because usually people think nature is just you go to the forest or green, but no, nature, it's everything. It's desert, sea, mountains, forest, everything. So the sea, it's our gift in Saudi Arabia, especially in Jeddah, because just next door.
Years later, even in a scuba diving tourist hub like Sharm el Sheikh, Nouf still almost exclusively teaches women how to dive.
It's not an issue, it's just a choice, because there are a lot of men instructors, and also this sport, it requires a lot of physical contact, especially people who just starting diving. And I think it's more comfortable to teach female. They also feel more comfortable to be taught by women as well. They feel more safe. So that's why, because the market is huge and there are a lot of men. So I just leave the men to teach men, and I'm just focusing on female, because I think they really need to have a female instructor with them.
In addition to teaching, Nouf has been deep diving into, well, deep diving. It's actually called technical diving. There's no direct access to the surface or any natural light. It's where you'll find underwater caves and long-lost shipwrecks.
The deeper you go, the less colors and the less life you see, because the shallower, where there's sunlight, where there's a lot of colors, a lot of fishes. So the deeper I went, to be honest, Nadia, I didn't feel the environment as I felt myself. The deeper I go, the calmer it gets, the deeper I go into myself. So it was amazing. It was a great experience. I saw how tiny human being can be, how weak we can be against all this like depth and pressure you have from the water, and the big blue in front of you. I felt we're nothing. We're just like small, tiny creature. And I felt that also, if you want something, you definitely can make it and do it if you give it your time, and you become more like if you're passionate about something, you definitely can do it. This is what I always believe, because I really wanted to go to this depth, but I wasn't sure if I can make it or not, if my body can help me to go down or not. And then I've done it.
Technical diving, or diving below 60 meters, can be dangerous because the water pressure can cause decompression sickness, air bubbles in your bloodstream that can eventually deteriorate your bones and leave you paralyzed or even kill you. It's essential to follow a protocol of stopping at several levels on the way down to allow the gases in your system to decompress.
Okay, so it's actually I used to carry with me like 5 tanks. We usually go with 1 tank underwater, like 1 scuba cylinder. Here we have like 2 in our back and 3 on the side. And so it's more equipment, and we have spare from each thing. Like we have spare computer, we have spare mask, we have, because of these dives, they are called deco dive. So we cannot exit the surface anytime. If you decided to exit at any point, you're gone, like you're dying. So it's not like scuba diving. You can exit the surface any time you want. It's called no stop dive, but this dives, it's called stop dives or deco dives, because we have to stop in each depth. So we go down to this depth for like 5 or 10 minutes, but to finish the whole dive, it takes like 70 minutes. Diving is not just wearing tank and looking cool and you're going and jumping in the water and you go down. No, there are like certain time at certain depth, and we have to be very conservative. We have to respect that. It's like driving a car. If you don't have a driving license, you will kill yourself and you will kill everyone in the street. But if you learn how to drive, when to stop, when to go, and when to turn, all these things, here you're going to be safe on the street. So you have to follow this procedure in order to get home safe. It's the same thing with diving.
If you'd like to know more about scuba diving, you can find Nouf Al Oseimi on redseacitizen.com and on Instagram at redseacitizen. That's it. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like it and follow us on whatever platform you're listening on. You can find me on Instagram at @NadiaMichelle_. See you soon.